Hello! So, we are finishing up our creation series this past week, and we kind of finished up with just one really big question that you guys had left. And we got some other questions that you guys asked that we're going to do next week at Boys Orchards, but this week I wanted us to, first of all, think about how tiny we are in relation to everything else in the universe, right? When we watch this video where it starts on Earth, it's kind of just like a Google Earth thing, and it starts at Earth and just keeps going out and out and out to what we think are the ends of the universe, right? And it's an amazing thing to think that we are just a solar system and our galaxy, but there are hundreds, thousands of other solar systems in our galaxy. And then there are the same amount, more, tons of galaxies out there. And if you take a big, if you could step back from the edge of the universe and take a picture, there's no way you could distinguish where Earth is, where our galaxy is, where our sun is, none of it, right? Which is crazy to think about. So I want us to think that big, first of all, and then think, okay, where are the planets that we know have life on them? There may be some other ones out there, but we don't know what they are, right? And that doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. It just means that, the universe is huge, right? But from all the things that we can see, scientists have been looking, they've built crazy, amazing telescopes, and they've been searching for years, trying to find planets that look like they could support life like we think it needs, like stuff that looks like Earth. And they found one planet that maybe could, right? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? We're the only planet that has life that we know of right now, right? And we have it because of God's amazing love, right? Like, some people, remember we've talked about how the whole universe started, how it was all began. It doesn't really matter if it was the Big Bang, if it was something else. God still created it. That stuff still had to be put there somehow, right? And it takes just as much faith to think there was some gas floating around, two different kinds, and they came together and exploded, as it is to think God set some stuff in motion and did things to make things happen, right? Because even God's actions create physical realities, right? It's not like we're talking about some magic stuff. He's just like, poof, and right? Like, he did things with actual physical matter, which he created, but still, and it creates a physical reality, which we can study and learn about, right? So, nothing knocking on what God has done, no matter what way we feel or actually find out how things worked, right? And remember, we're not there yet. We have no idea how stuff actually began. No one. We have some really good theories, some good ideas, but they're still just theories, right? Hypotheses. So, we have this amazing Earth that is attuned for life. Just like I took a soundboard and had all these different knobs on it, and we looked at it last night, right? And for sound to be good, for everything to come out right and not sound all garbled or messed up or gross, like, you have to have all the little knobs turned in the right way. And that's what God did for Earth, right? We call it fine-tuning, right? He tuned everything up to make it sound right, to make it work right, for life to be here on Earth, right? A couple of examples. We won't go into a ton of them, but the Earth is 93 million miles away from the sun, and we go around the sun. But if the Earth was 3 miles closer or 3 miles farther away, we'd burn up, it'd be too hot for us to live, or we'd freeze, it'd be too cold for us to live. Think about that. Out of 93 million miles, 3 miles make a difference. Crazy, right? Same thing with the moon. If the moon was less than a mile closer or farther away, it would mess up the tides, all the water. We wouldn't be able to live here. The land would not be habitable. Crazy to think about, right? Also, the Earth is not just like straight up and down on its axis, right? It's tilted 23 degrees, right? Not every planet's like that. Most of the planets in our solar system have nothing close to that happening, right? And that gives us an advantage because it actually helps us rotate just on our own, right, as a circle as we go around the sun. So, and the reason that's a big deal is because there's no dark side, right? The moon doesn't do that. And the same side of the moon faces the sun all the time, and one side of the moon has never seen the sun. That would happen to us, which would, again, make our planet not livable for human life, right? There has to be 21% oxygen in our air, our atmosphere, all the time, or we wouldn't be here. What was the other one? 3.1% salt is in the ocean, right? It has to be 3.1% salt. If it's more or less, no good, right? But the really cool thing is that's the same amount of salt that's in our bloodstream, right? Is that a coinky-dink? Maybe not. So we talked about all these things, but God finally tuned this earth and set it up and created and made it for us. We used Samantha as a great example, right? She just had baby Edmund, and they didn't just like not do anything to their house. Like they spent a lot of time getting stuff ready, getting a room ready for him, getting the house baby proofed, because they wanted it to be ready for him because they loved him. And that's the same thing that God did with earth, right? He knew what was going to happen. He knew everything when he was creating stuff, when he created the heavens before he created our universe, right? And he created the universe, and then he created earth, and he started working on it because he's like, I want to have a relationship with someone. I want to watch human beings grow and see what they do. And like just like Teddy and Samantha are so excited about having Edmund, and it's just awesome to see how he grows, what he does, what he's doing. It's going to be awesome to see what he gets into, what he likes, what his personality is when he gets older. God felt the same thing for us, like a loving father. That's why it says it all over the Bible, right? And he just wants to see how we are, and he created the earth and made it a place for us to live. He finally tuned it, did a ton of work to make sure everything was just right so that we could live here. So that's what we talked about. And we talked a little bit about evolution too. The idea that there's macroevolution and microevolution. So macro meaning big, right? So the idea that we all started from this one thing, and you can kind of trace a tree for every living thing, every plant, every animal, back to this one little thing that happened. Right? Not all scientists believe that. Not all people believe that. And then there's microevolution, which means small, micro, right? It means that there were tiny changes in species, which we see all the time. We see that birds do it. We see that's happened to humans even a little bit, right? We've seen that. So we can get behind that. That doesn't mean God didn't make it. There was a really cool period in time in history. If you look it up, Google it, the Cambrian explosion, right? There's fossil records of not that much stuff going on, and then all of a sudden in this time span a bunch of things just kind of popped up, and some people are like, well, that's just the earth was finally ready for things to evolve quickly. And it's like, really? Or maybe God like put some stuff there and stuff moved on from there, right? I don't know. So check it out. But either way, remember, God created this earth to make it habitable for us, right? So it's either we believe God did it or just really super lucky, amazing chance. Which one are you going to put your faith in? I don't know. I think God did it. And Jesus is really the reason we can believe that, because we know Jesus was here on earth. People saw him. He did amazing things. And he came back to life after he was crucified, right? He loves us. God did all of this. So join us next week at Boyd's Orchard. We'll see you guys later.